Okay, so the app is Dave, and you could get extra cash.
I'm about to save your life with this hack.
If you're needing money, just download Dave. You could get the...
There are many reasons you might want to stream your Nintendo Switch gameplay to platforms like YouTube and Twitch. Whether you just want to go live for your own enjoyment, build a fun community around the games you love, or become a famous streamer with your own energy drink collabs, I'm going to show you exactly what you need and how to do it. So first off, how does it work? Normally, when you use your Switch while docked, you send a video signal to your TV via the HDMI cable that comes from the Switch dock. All we're doing is hijacking that HDMI signal and running it through a capture card instead. The capture card converts that into a USB signal that can be plugged into your computer. Your computer then has encoder software to encode that video signal and send it to YouTube or Twitch for streaming or recording. The primary piece of hardware you probably need to buy is the capture card. The simplest are these capture cards that have an HDMI in and a USB out to go into your computer. With these, you need to watch your gameplay on your computer screen, but you're prone to some performance setbacks unless you have a really powerful system, and even then, you can't avoid a certain level of latency. The other kind of capture card is a pass-through card that splits the signal in two. One HDMI signal gets converted to USB and sent to your computer, and the other gets sent via HDMI to another screen, TV or a monitor, or a live zero latency view. This is the ideal situation, but these cards can be expensive. The only other primary piece of equipment aside from things that are ancillary like mics or other gear, is your actual computer. Streaming Switch gameplay can be taxing on your system. On screen, you're looking at some basic requirements to run the streaming software itself. You also need to have a fairly reliable internet service. The exact minimum upload speeds depend on the resolution that you're aiming for. For a 1080p 60 FPS stream, 6 megabits per second is the minimum. But with all the other processing going on, you'll probably want something a bit higher to remain consistent. Next up is software. The only real software you need to record and stream is an encoding software program. This is a program that allows you to build your streaming scene and encode it into video files or stream it to a streaming platform. There is a neat list of YouTube approved options provided by Google. I'll link this along with all of YouTube's streaming help resources, which can answer a lot of questions in the description. I'm going to be showing you how to do everything in OBS Studio. It is the completely free and open source software of choice for recording and streaming. There is a more streaming-oriented platform called Streamlabs OBS, but there are paid tabs and advertising for the paid version built into the program. But it is very powerful and lets you easily upgrade your stream with extra elements. Anything we do today will work essentially exactly the same there, and I can cover more deeply another time, but I'd rather use the open industry standard for teaching purposes. OBS Studio also has a slightly better set of minimum requirements and should run a bit better for most people. Okay, now we're in OBS. I reset all my settings so that you can follow along. Our stream screen is going to be composed of scenes, and in those scenes we have sources. Their sources are what they sound like. That's where our video and audio inputs are going to come from. The first thing we'll do is add a video capture device input. You can name it Switch Video, and then under the Device tab you can pick USB 3.0 capture or whatever your capture card shows up as when plugged in. You can select some presets right off the bat, or you could go in and dial all these settings in yourself. You can change the resolution, the color space, and a few other details that will affect the quality of your video. It's always best to run at the highest resolution that your computer can handle for the best viewing experience. Next, we're going to add our Switch audio input. We'll pick audio input capture from the Sources tab, and we'll name it Switch Audio. This one is a bit more straightforward. You just pick the device from the list. It should be named the same thing as your video input, or at least something related. Now in the audio mixer, you'll notice there's an extra track. If you want to actually hear what's coming in through one of these inputs, you have to open up the advanced audio properties and toggle monitoring for each of the tracks that you want to actually listen to through your speakers or headphones. I want to hear the Switch audio, so I'm going to set it to monitor and output. So I'll both be able to monitor the audio and it will be output to the stream or recording. Next, we're going to go into our settings to adjust a few things. If you're having trouble with monitoring, you should go in here under Advanced, under Audio, and pick a proper monitoring device like speakers or headphones that you use. You should also take a look around the streaming and recording tabs in there and make sure that you're using the highest settings that you can while still being able to run it comfortably for your computer. The next thing you'll probably want to add if you're streaming is your mic. So we'll add another audio input capture, and this time we'll select our microphone. I use a Blue Snowball mic. Now you'll notice we added another track to our audio mixer. So we're going to turn on monitoring and output for that also. So now I can hear both the switch audio and my voice, and I can adjust the volume so that they're not overlapping with each other too much. Next, we can go over some ways to personalize your stream. So your scene is customizable. It's really a canvas, and you can move around the elements in it. You can add an image through an image source in the sources panel, or you can just drag a picture in for a background. You can drag them above or below each other in the sources tab to place them however you like. You can even have a video in the background as an animated stream background, and you can add other elements around the border frames. If you can only run a lower resolution with your computer, then shrinking down the video frame might make it less obvious to viewers. Lastly, as a streamer, you might want to add in your webcam. My hair's not done, so I'm going to skip that step, but it's really easy. You would just select your webcam from the list under the video input capture. I'm going to replace my webcam with this small picture of Pikachu. You can then customize your scene by putting your webcam wherever you want, and play around with it until you have something that you like. There are also tons of settings on all of the components in the scene. You can transform them, add filters to them, and adjust them until everything's looking just right. Now, if you don't want to play